After this video, not only are you going to have a grade 9 structure for language paper 1 question 2, sentence starters, I'm also going to give you a grade 9 model example using the structure, using the sentence starters, so you can use it and put it in your exams. I have helped tens of thousands of students over the last 5 years achieve grades they didn't even think was possible, because what I do with all my students is I simplify grade 9 things so everybody can access them. Grade 9 analysis, structures broken down, so no matter what grade you are, where you're starting, my students can get the top grade. So just so we know what the question is, it will be a language question and it will be 8 marks. And the question will be something like, how does the writer use language to describe X? So the grade 9 structure that we are going to use is PETAETAZ. So PETAETAZ stands for point, evidence, technique, analysis, evidence, technique, analysis, zoom. And you're going to do 2 of these in your exam. For the second paragraph, if you can't fit in the Z for zoom, don't worry about it. So it could look something like this: PETAETAZ for the first paragraph and PETAETA for the second paragraph. So if we look at that, we've got 2 bits of evidence, 2 bits of technique, and 2 bits of analysis per paragraph. And remember, the evidence does not need to be long at all. It can be a short quote. Actually, in language, I always recommend don't use long quotes. You want to pick out short, judicious quotes is what they call them. Just basically short, snappy quotes to show what we're talking about. So let's go through some sentence starters of what we can use for each bit of structure for PETAETAZ. So for the point, you can just literally say something like, the writer presents, insert whatever you're talking about, as, insert whatever your point is. For evidence, you just want to make sure you embed in the quote, and I'm going to show you in the example at the end. But when I say embed in, it means you don't want to say things like, this is shown by the quote. You just want the quote to fit and flow into the sentence. Technique and analysis. So for technique, this, insert the technique, emphasizes, ... Analysis. Now, analysis is the most important part for this question. Remember, when I say analysis, you just basically want to say whatever it is you said it shows and tell me why it's shown that. You're just explaining the reasons behind what you've actually said. So for analysis, you could say things like, this illuminates. Then we've got another evidence, technique, analysis. So again, evidence, embed the quote in, don't say this is shown. Technique, the insert technique reinforces, ... Analysis, remember, make sure you're explaining why you've said what you've said. This highlights. And then zoom. Zoom is picking out or zooming in one specific keyword. So you could use a sentence starter like, the diction on, diction just means word choice. Okay, so we're gonna have a look at a question from the 2017 paper, and I'm just gonna put the extract here. So just pause the video here so you can have a read through the extract so you know what I'm actually analysing and responding to. So the question is how the writer uses language to describe Rosabel's bus journey home. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna think of 2 keywords that are gonna answer that question for this paragraph. So my 2 keywords that I'm going to answer it with is that I'm going to describe the bus journey as uncomfortable and oppressive. Oppressive means it almost feels like she's been closed in, she can't escape. Let's go through the paragraph using the PETAETAZ structure, and I'm just going to be going through it, show you how each bit links to each bit of the structure. My point, the writer presents Rosabel's bus journey as uncomfortable and oppressive. There is an atmosphere of claustrophobia on her bus journey home. You can see that my point is very, very clear. I've answered the question, that the writer has presented the bus journey as oppressive and uncomfortable, and I've kind of just given a bit more of an explanation about it, saying what atmosphere it creates. Now let's go on to my evidence and my technique. The olfactory image on sickening smell of warm humanity emphasizes the intensity of her 5 senses and her oppressive surrounding. So olfactory is just referring to smell. So when I'm saying the olfactory image, is the fact that it's all about like the smell. And you can see there, I've just embedded in my evidence. So, you know, it flows into the sentence. It's not saying this is shown by the quote. And I just kind of briefly explained it. Now let's go on to our analysis, which is the important part. So remember, this part is where I'm going to actually be explaining what I mean from what I've just said about my evidence, my technique. This illuminates that Rosabel's bus journey was uncomfortable and overwhelming as she was trapped in a small confined space while the damp smell was oozing out of everybody in the bus. And you can just see there, I've just embedded another quote in. I've not analysed it, but use it more so to support my point. And you can absolutely do that, and the examiner will actually like to see that, because it shows that you've really understood the text, and you can even reference it in parts to support what you're talking about. If you guys did want more model examples and the structures for every single language question on paper 1 and paper 2, we have that on the Lightup Hub. I'll also link some free lessons in the description below for you to check out. Okay, let's go through our second evidence and technique. Remember, this is still part of one paragraph. We need 2 of these paragraphs. Moreover, her discomfort intensifies, reinforcing the oppressiveness of the bust as she stirs suddenly and unfastened the 2 top buttons of her coat. The use of the verb stirred before she felt almost stifled effectively conveys her sudden desperation and need for relief. You can see again, I've embedded in my evidence and kind of given my technique in a brief bit about what I'm saying about the bus journey. Now into the analysis. This highlights the pervasive discomfort and the sense of being overwhelmed by the surrounding conditions, so much so she feels she must physically alleviate herself from this restriction and entrapment. So again, just building on what I'm saying about this like claustrophobia, this oppression, and just linking it to the quote, because of course she's unbuttoning her shirt, unbuttoning her top, because it illustrates that she feels physically trapped. So I'm just explaining that. And now finally, the Z for Zoom. The diction on meaningless staring face personifies the collective discomfort and alienation felt by the passengers, enhancing the reader's understanding of Rosabelle's mental state as disconnected and overwhelmed by her surroundings. So you can see for the last bit, I've just zoomed in on meaningless, and again, how that's added to this sense of like claustrophobia and her feeling very uncomfortable in this oppressive environment. So hopefully you can see how we've used the sentence starters paired with the structure to write up this 8 out of 8 full marks response. If you want more of these videos of like model paragraphs, please comment below and let us know if you want to see more of these, if you want to see them for any of the other texts, because whatever you guys request, we'll try and make videos of. I will see you in the next video, guys. Don't forget to subscribe. Bye.